Tyrese Haliburton should win MVP. The Dallas Mavericks will make the finals, and the Wolves are not contenders. These are just 3 hot takes of the many we're going to be going over in today's video, guys. We are uploading every single day for the month of December. So if you're new here, please be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button so you do not miss any of the daily NBA uploads. Without further ado, let's jump right into this with the first hot take. Coming in from the first hot take from Woods to the Face says the Magic are frauds and will come back to earth eventually after All-Star break. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of this take. I understand the concept of them being frauds, but I think you should label them more as overachievers and not frauds. I don't think anything about their performance is fraudulent, especially considering the fact that they've beaten teams like the Bucks, the Nuggets, they beat the Lakers, they've beaten the Suns. They've also beaten the Celtics. So they have some really solid wins on the season. Even despite injuries to people like Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac has still kind of been on minutes restriction for majority of the season. Wendell Carter Jr. has missed most of the season. They're playing out of their mind considering their roster. I said this in yesterday's video that I think Jamal Mosley should be in the Coach of the Year candidate. I'm gonna have to disagree with this take, but I definitely understand if you think they're overachieving, and from the 2 seed they may drop down to, you know, the 5 or the 6 or the 7. The second hot take we have says that the Bucks aren't as bad as what fans make them seem. Once All-Star break comes around, they're going to be different. I would have to agree with this one. I think that there's going to be a lack of chemistry until All-Star break comes around, and maybe they can, you know, all spend a little bit of quality time together. Hopefully Giannis and Dame are on the same team for All-Star weekend. I think the chemistry in that backcourt, just from a communication standpoint, is a little bit lacking. Obviously, on the defensive side of the ball, they are not great, but there's a lot of young guys on the Bucks that have shown that they're more than capable three-point shooters, and I think that's something good to look at when you're talking about surrounding Giannis, you know, with the capabilities of what makes him, you know, succeed as much as he can. Obviously, if you put someone who can get 30 a night in the paint, if you put three-point shooters around him, it's a good thing. I just think from the jump, this Bucks team kind of had a bad, you know, taste written all over it, just because of the fact that they said, or Giannis himself said, that this was Damian Lillard's team, when clearly it's Giannis's team. You won a MVP, you know, MVPs, Defensive Player of the Years, championship, Finals MVP, all that you did for this franchise. Some guy who's never won anything doesn't just get to come in and it's his team. I don't like that. I think, though, at the All-Star break, Adrian Griffin will address some issues and things will be fixed. Next, we have one coming from Cam Bob 42069, killer username, says Tyrese Haliburton should win MVP if he keeps up the efficiency and the Pacers end up as a top 5 seed in the East. Now, this would be an MVP given kind of like the Steve Nash MVP, except statistically much better. Tyrese's gameplay translates strictly to winning, and that's why he's such a talented player. His assist-to-turnover ratio is unlike anything we've ever seen. He's shown that even though his shot is not desired, it definitely goes in, and he is a great leader on and off the court. And all in all, he's just a really good guy. All the podcasts I've seen, whether it's with Kenny Beecham or JJ Redick or All the Smoke, he has been just a great guy off the court. I do like this take. I think he'll be in the MVP conversation, but I don't think he'll win MVP unless he's, you know, the Pacers are a top 2 or 3 seed. Then we'd be talking about that. But I think Jokic and Luka and Joel are kind of the guys that, you know, you should be looking out for the most. And speaking of Luka Doncic, our next take comes from a Celtics fan, apparently. The Mavericks will make the finals. This is an interesting take. The Mavericks have looked amazing, and what I really like about them most, other than Luka's phenomenal play, is it seems like Kyrie Irving and the other surrounding pieces are kind of unlocking levels that we haven't seen before. We're seeing a lot of guys, you know, like Dante Exum, we saw last night, comes out and hits, you know, 7 threes. Tim Hardaway Jr. hit 5 threes last night in a big game against the Lakers. I really do like that the supporting cast is playing their role well. I don't think this is a terrible take, but I just personally can't see the Mavericks making the finals. But I'm not going to say that it's wrong or, you know, incorrect. Obviously, I'm not a future teller, but it's definitely an interesting take and one that I can't personally agree with, but I can definitely see how you drew that conclusion. Next, we have one from Samuel Johnson, who says that the Clippers are starting to find their stride and they could be a legit playoff team. I agree with this. I don't see how the Clippers won't make the playoffs, even if they have to scrap their way through the play-in. Obviously, they are going to have, you know, issues. You yourself said I still don't see them as a title threat, maybe a first-round exit. But matchups are everything in the postseason, and Kawhi is a championship winner, youngest finals MVP of all time. Or I think he's actually second behind Magic Johnson. But at the end of the day, man, Ty Lue's a phenomenal head coach, and they have a lot of talent. And talent that just needs to be managed a little bit better, you know? They are going to play good basketball. They're going to play bad basketball. It just all shakes down to who, you know, they match up with in the playoffs. The playoffs is a completely different beast. And then finally, we have this take: the Wolves are not contenders and will struggle in the postseason. I disagree. I think this team is way too deep without injury to not compete. Mike Conley is an amazingly efficient playmaking and shooting point guard who plays elite level defense. Anthony Edwards is a bona fide superstar on both sides of the ball. And then at the 3, you have the switchblade of Jaden McDaniels off the bench. Then you have Kyle Anderson. Then you have Rudy Gobert and Cat, who have been playing super well off each other. Then you have Naz Reid as well off the bench. This team is just way too good to not compete. And Chris Finch is a hell of a head coach as well. So I actually do not agree with this. Maybe they don't make the finals, but I can't really see them losing in the first round of a 7-game playoff series. And you could say, you know, take a look at, you know, what happened last year with the Nuggets. They obviously face off against the Nuggets and then they get smacked in 5 games. But need I remind you, the Nuggets beat the Suns when they weren't favored in 6 games. Then they swept the Lakers. Then they beat the, you know, Heat in 5 games. They were so much better, and not to mention ironically, it's funny to say out loud because they lost in 5. It felt like the Nuggets received the most, you know, pushback from a team like the Timberwolves, despite the fact that the Rudy Gobert and Kyle Anderson incident happened literally like, you know, 2 games, I want to say, or the last game of the season, 2 games before the playoffs started. And then you obviously had Jaden McDaniels broke his hand after he punched the locker room. Mike Conley spent only 20 games in Utah. They barely were in the play-in. And they should have beat the Lakers in the play-in. You know, there's so much that happened. And so much, you know, piss poor this, piss poor that. This team, it's completely different from the last year. I understand, you know, why you want to call a spade and say that they're not real contenders. They are pretenders. But if they don't, you know, see injury, I can't see a way that they don't compete. But what do you guys think? What do you make of all these hot takes? Appreciate you guys getting them in as quick as you could. I had to get this video up. I had some stuff going on later in the day today, but I appreciate you guys' support as always. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Subscribe in case you want to get mentioned in the next hot takes video. Peace.